You are at war with yourself, and you are losing. You know what you need to do. You have the plan, the goal, the intention. But when the moment comes to act, something else takes over. A force that is older, stronger, and more patient than your conscious will. It pulls you toward the comfortable, the easy, the immediate. It whispers that you can start tomorrow, and you obey. In the next few minutes, the brilliant neuroscientist Robert Sapolsky will show you that this is not a failure of character. It is a biological battle being fought inside your skull. And I will reveal the strategic framework you can use to stop fighting your own brain and start redesigning the battlefield so that your best self finally wins. Part 1. The ancient brain in a modern world. To understand why you sabotage your own goals, you need to face a disconcerting truth. The brain you are using to navigate the 21st century was not designed for the life you lead. It is a Stone Age organ running on ancient software, trying to make sense of a world of smartphones, social media, and existential angst. This fundamental mismatch, what scientists call evolutionary mismatch, is the root cause of nearly every act of self-sabotage you commit. For millions of years, our ancestors lived in a world of immediate life or death threats. Survival was the only metric that mattered. In that environment, the brain that reacted instantly, conserved energy at all costs, and prioritized immediate rewards was the brain that survived. The part of your brain responsible for this is the limbic system. It is the ancient, powerful, and lightning-fast core of your mind. It is the part that feels, that desires, that fears. It is the part that screams yes to the donut and no to the gym. Then, much later in our evolutionary history, we developed the prefrontal cortex. This is the part of your brain right behind your forehead. It is the seat of rational thought, long-term planning, and self-control. It is the part of you that sets goals, makes promises, and dreams of a better future. It is the part of you that is reading these words right now and nodding in agreement. Here is the problem. These two systems are in a constant state of conflict. The prefrontal cortex, your rational brain, is like a new, sophisticated, but energy-guzzling software update. The limbic system, your survival brain, is the old, brutally efficient, and deeply entrenched operating system. When they disagree, the limbic system almost always wins. Not because it is better, but because it is faster, more automatic, and has millions of years of practice. Sapolsky's work shows this with terrifying clarity. The limbic system reacts in milliseconds. It has already triggered an emotion, an impulse, and a justification before your conscious mind even knows what is happening. By the time your prefrontal cortex tries to intervene, to say, wait, we have a plan, it is already too late. The donut is eaten, the snooze button is hit, the social media app is open, the self-sabotaging act has already occurred. And then, to add insult to injury, another part of your brain, the rationalization module, kicks in. It invents a story to make you feel better. I was too tired. I'll start tomorrow. One time won't hurt. Your brain is not just sabotaging your actions. It is actively deceiving your consciousness to cover its tracks. This is not a moral failing. It is a biological reality. You are not weak. You are running on outdated hardware. We live in a world of abundance, but with a brain programmed for scarcity. We are surrounded by temptations that are scientifically designed to hijack our ancient reward circuits. The sugar in our food, the notifications on our phones, the endless scroll of social media. These are not neutral stimuli. They are weapons of mass distraction, aimed directly at the heart of your limbic system, and your prefrontal cortex, with its limited energy and slow processing speed, is hopelessly outgunned. This is the battlefield, not your willpower versus your desires, but your modern, rational, goal-setting prefrontal cortex versus an ancient, powerful, and deeply ingrained survival machine that is simply trying to do the job it was designed for. Keep you safe, comfortable, and alive in the short term. As long as you keep trying to win this war with brute force, with sheer willpower, you will continue to lose. The key is not to fight harder, but to fight smarter, to understand the enemy, and to use its own nature against it. Consider what happens when you try to start a new habit. Let's say you decide to write every morning. Day 1 goes well. You feel motivated, energized, proud of yourself. Day 2 is a little harder, but you push through. Day 3, you wake up tired. The limbic system detects the discomfort and immediately offers you an alternative. Just check your phone for 5 minutes first. You agree. 5 minutes becomes 30. The writing session is over before it began. You feel guilty. You tell yourself you will make up for it tomorrow. Tomorrow never comes. And the habit dies, not because you did not want it, but because you did not understand the biological forces working against you. This is not a story about a lack of discipline. It is a story about a mismatch between your intentions and your biology. And until you understand that mismatch, you will keep repeating this cycle, blaming yourself for a failure that was, in many ways, inevitable. Part 2. The dopamine deception. If the limbic system is the engine of self-sabotage, then dopamine is its fuel. For decades, we called dopamine the pleasure molecule. But modern neuroscience, as Sapolsky makes clear, reveals a more accurate and much more dangerous truth. Dopamine is not about pleasure. It is about the anticipation of pleasure. It is the molecule of motivation. It is the force that drives you to act. When you feel that urge, that craving, that itch to do something, check your phone, open the fridge, buy something you do not need. That is dopamine at work. And it has a powerful, deeply ingrained bias. It radically prefers immediate, tangible, and easily accessible rewards. This is a phenomenon known as temporal discounting. Your brain literally discounts or reduces the value of a reward the further away it is in time. In other words, a donut right now is worth more to your dopamine system than losing 10 pounds in 3 months. A 5-minute YouTube video right now is worth more than the career change that will take 5 years of study. This is not a failure of your character. It is a feature of your biology. Your dopamine system evolved in a world where the future was uncertain. A bird in the hand was always worth 2 in the bush. A ripe fruit found today was infinitely more valuable than the possibility of a successful hunt tomorrow. Today, this same system is being ruthlessly exploited. The entire digital economy is built on hijacking your dopamine circuits. Every like, every notification, every endless scroll is a carefully engineered dopamine hit, designed to keep you hooked. These are not neutral technologies. They are slot machines in your pocket, and you are pulling the lever hundreds of times a day. And here is the most perverse part of the cycle. The more you give in to these immediate dopamine hits, the more your brain learns that this is the correct path. It strengthens those neural connections. It automates the behavior. Over time, it is no longer a conscious choice. It is a reflex. You reach for your phone without thinking. You open the fridge without being hungry. You are self-sabotaging on autopilot. This creates a devastating feedback loop. The constant flood of cheap, easy dopamine desensitizes your reward system. It raises the bar for what feels good. The quiet satisfaction of reading a book, the slow progress of learning a skill, the deep connection of a real conversation. These things can no longer compete. They do not provide a big enough dopamine spike. Your brain, now accustomed to the high-octane fuel of digital distraction, finds the real world boring. So, you are left in a state of chronic, low-grade dissatisfaction. You are constantly seeking the next hit, but the hits never truly satisfy. You are trapped in a cycle of wanting, getting, and wanting again, while your real goals, the things that would bring you genuine, lasting fulfillment, gather dust in the corner. Dopamine is not just sabotaging your actions. It is hijacking your sense of purpose. It is replacing the deep, meaningful pursuit of long-term goals with the shallow, frantic chase for short-term rewards. Sapolsky points to a particularly cruel irony in this dynamic. The activities that produce the most meaningful, lasting satisfaction, deep creative work, learning a complex skill, building a real relationship, are precisely the activities that produce the least immediate dopamine. They are slow, they are difficult, they are often frustrating. They require you to tolerate discomfort for long periods before the reward arrives. Your dopamine system, calibrated for the immediate, finds them deeply unappealing. Meanwhile, the activities that produce the least meaningful, lasting satisfaction, scrolling, snacking, binge watching, are precisely the activities that produce the most immediate dopamine. They are fast, they are easy, they are reliably pleasurable. Your dopamine system loves them. And so, without a deliberate strategic intervention, you will always drift toward the shallow and away from the deep. Not because you are shallow, but because your brain is biologically wired to be. But what if you could use this system to your advantage? What if you could harness the power of dopamine and aim it at the things that truly matter? The answer is not to eliminate dopamine, but to redirect it, to become the architect of your own reward system. And that begins with understanding the most misunderstood and misused resource you have: willpower. Part 3. The myth of willpower. There is a deeply ingrained myth in our culture that success is a matter of willpower, that if you just want it enough, if you just resist temptation with enough grit and determination, you will achieve your goals. Modern neuroscience, and Robert Sapolsky's work in particular, dismantles this myth with brutal efficiency. The truth is, willpower is a finite, exhaustible resource. And if you are relying on it as your primary strategy to overcome self-sabotage, you have already lost. Your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for self-control, operates like a muscle. And like any muscle, it gets tired. With every decision you make, every impulse you resist, every task you force yourself to start, this system consumes metabolic energy. This is a phenomenon known as ego depletion. The more you use your willpower, the weaker it becomes. And as it weakens, the limbic system, your emotional, impulsive brain, takes over. Think about your typical day. From the moment you wake up, your prefrontal cortex is under assault. What to wear, what to eat, how to respond to that email. Should you open that news alert? Should you resist the urge to check social media? Each of these is a micro decision that drains your cognitive battery. By the time you get to the end of the day, when you are supposed to work on your most important long-term goals, writing your book, learning that new skill, building your business, your rational brain is exhausted. Not because you are lazy, but because it is physiologically drained. This is not a psychological theory. It is a biological fact. Studies have shown that during periods of intense mental effort, the glucose metabolism in the prefrontal cortex changes. The brain literally starts to conserve energy by shifting to low power mode. And when that happens, the automatic, instinctive systems of the limbic brain, which require far less energy, take control. This is why, at the end of a long day, you order takeout instead of cooking the healthy meal you planned. It is why you binge watch a series instead of reading the book you know you should. Your autopilot takes over, and your autopilot is programmed for the path of least resistance, not the path of greatest reward. This reality shatters the romantic notion of the iron-willed hero who overcomes all obstacles through sheer force of will. No one is disciplined all the time. Not elite athletes, not master meditators, not productivity gurus. What these people do, and what most of us ignore, is that they understand this biological limitation, and they design their lives around it. They do not rely on willpower, they conserve it. They build systems and structures that minimize the need for conscious self-control. Think about the research on judges. A famous study found that judges were significantly more likely to grant parole to prisoners in the morning, right after a break, than late in the afternoon. The content of the cases was essentially the same. The only variable was the cognitive state of the judge. Tired, depleted a prefrontal cortex equals harsher, more impulsive decisions. This is not a flaw in the judge's characters. It is a feature of human biology, and it applies to you. The decisions you make when you are tired, hungry, or stressed are not your best decisions. They are the decisions of a depleted prefrontal cortex that has handed the wheel to the limbic system. Understanding this is not an excuse for bad behavior. It is a roadmap for better behavior. It tells you exactly when to schedule your most important work, when to make your most critical decisions, and when to simply stop and rest. They create fixed routines so that healthy behaviors become automatic. They eliminate temptations from their environment so they do not have to resist them. They protect their peak energy hours for their most demanding work. They understand that the battle against self-sabotage is not won in the moment of temptation. It is won in the hours and days before, in the way you architect your life. If you have to make a conscious decision every time you want to do the right thing, you are fighting a battle you are destined to lose. You are pitting your tired, overworked prefrontal cortex against the ancient, powerful, and relentless force of your limbic system. But if you can turn the desired behavior into an automatic habit, you bypass the conflict altogether. You reduce the cognitive load. You make the right choice the easy choice. This is not about being stronger than your brain. It is about being smarter. It is about using the principles of neuroscience to design a life where self-sabotage becomes difficult and success becomes the default. Part 4. The architect of your mind. If willpower is a myth and dopamine is a double-edged sword, how do you actually break the cycle of self-sabotage? The answer, according to Sapolsky in the field of behavioral design, is to stop trying to be the hero and start being the architect. You cannot win a head-on battle with your own biology, but you can redesign the battlefield. You can create an environment and a set of systems that make the right behaviors easy and the wrong behaviors hard. This is not about motivation. It is about mental engineering. Here are 4 practical, neuroscientifically grounded strategies to become the architect of your own mind. 1. Engineer friction. Your limbic system is lazy. It will always choose the path of least resistance. You can use this to your advantage by creating friction for the behaviors you want to avoid. If you want to stop mindlessly scrolling on your phone, delete the apps, logs out of your accounts. Put your phone in another room when you are working. Make it difficult and annoying to access the distraction. Conversely, reduce the friction for the behaviors you want to encourage. If you want to go to the gym in the morning, lay out your clothes the night before. Put your gym bag by the door. Make the process of getting out the door as seamless as possible. Every small step of friction you add or remove can be the difference between success and failure. 2. Automate your decisions. Your prefrontal cortex gets tired from making decisions, so make fewer of them. Automate as much of your life as you can. Have a set routine for your mornings. Eat the same healthy breakfast every day. Wear a simple, consistent wardrobe. These are not signs of a boring life. They are signs of a smart one. By automating the small, unimportant decisions, you conserve your precious cognitive energy for the things that truly matter. You free up your willpower for the moments when you actually need it. 3. Protect your golden window. Your prefrontal cortex is not equally effective throughout the day. It has a golden window, a period of 2 to 4 hours when it is at its peak. For most people, this is in the morning after a good night's sleep. This is your prime cognitive real estate, and you must protect it ruthlessly. Do not waste your golden window on email, social media, or other people's priorities. Use it for your most important, deep, and creative work. This is the time when you have the best chance of winning the battle against your limbic system. Schedule your deep work like you would schedule a meeting with your CEO, because that is exactly what it is. A meeting with the best version of yourself. 4. Hack your dopamine. You cannot eliminate dopamine, but you can redirect it. You can teach your brain to get its dopamine hits from the pursuit of your long-term goals, not just from cheap, instant gratification. One powerful way to do this is to break your big goals down into ridiculously small, achievable steps. Instead of write a book, your goal is write one sentence. When you achieve that tiny goal, you get a small dopamine hit. You feel a sense of progress, and that motivates you to take the next step. This is the principle of habit stacking, popularized by James Clear. You are using the brain's own reward system to build momentum. You are making the process of working on your goals feel good. You are teaching your limbic system that the path to fulfillment is not a source of pain to be avoided, but a source of pleasure to be pursued. These are not quick fixes. They are a fundamental shift in your approach to your own mind. It is the shift from being a victim of your own biology to being its master, from being at war with yourself to being its architect. You have the tools, you have the knowledge. The only question is whether you have the courage to use them. Let's bring this home. You came into this video believing that your self-sabotage was a character flaw, a sign of weakness. You now know the truth. It is a biological conflict, a war between an ancient survival machine and a modern rational mind. And it is a war you have been fighting with the wrong weapons. Willpower is not the answer. Fighting harder is not the answer. The answer is to stop fighting and start designing, to become the architect of your own mind, to create an environment where your best self is not just a possibility, but an inevitability. You are not broken. You are not weak. You are a human being running on ancient software in a dangerously modern world. But now you have the manual. You have the strategies. You have the power to rewrite the code. If this message hit home, if you are ready to stop being a soldier in a war you cannot win and start being the architect of a life you can, then right now in the comments, type, I am the architect. Not for me, for you. Let it be the first blueprint you lay down, a declaration that you are taking control of the machine. And if this video gave you something real, please like it, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe to Wise Daily. Every video on this channel is built to give you one thing: the philosophical tools to live with more power, more clarity, and more intention. We'll see you in the next one.